Your bonding in adulthood is so largely connected to your bonding in childhood. And when we explore in adulthood why we struggle to feel bonded to people, why we struggle to not feel doubt with those that we want in our lives, to not question the loyalty to us, to not question why they're not texting us or why they're not inviting us. Understanding why we do that and understanding where that comes from greatly helps us grow as humans. And the bonding that you have in adulthood is always based on the bonding that you had in childhood. Now, I'm not going to go into attachment theory per se here. I'm not going to tell you all of the attachment theories here, because sometimes I find we get lost in the jargon of attachment theory, talking about anxious and avoidant and secure. But I do want to bring a video of food for thought for you. We don't realise how we replicate what we've learnt in childhood in adulthood. We believe that in adulthood we should suddenly be an adult, that we should suddenly know how to bond to people, we should suddenly know how to have healthy relationships, we should know how to deal with conflict, we should know how to manage relationships and situations. But how do you know how to do that if you've never been taught? And there is so many people in this world that have had healthy environments growing up, environments that have been conducive to raising healthy adults. But for whatever reason, be it mental health, trauma on the parents' lives, loss within the parents' lives, being human, because parents learn from their parents, learn from their parents, hence why now it's so important we understand this so that we start to heal it and not pass it on generationally. I really had to explore how I attach to people, because I spent majority of my life shaming myself because I clearly was fucked up because I couldn't connect to people, and then blaming other people. It's their fault. They don't show up for me. They don't make me feel secure. They don't include me. They don't. So it was a battle of the two wolves, but each wolf was willing to snare me at any point. So there was no win situation in my unhealed part of me. Whether it was the wolf or it was somebody else, I would look for every reason as to why it was somebody else. Oh, look, they haven't texted me. Oh, look, see, they're out with everyone else. Oh, look, they're not bothered. Oh, look, their text is to the point. And your behaviour is always replicating what you feel. Well, I'm going to pull back. Well, I'm not going to text. Well, if you want to be like that. And there's no communication that's being taught. Or blaming myself, I'm such a fuck up. I'm never going to have friends. There's clearly something wrong with me. It's clearly all in my head. And the truth is, it was all in my head to a certain degree, but it was also in my body. It was what my body had been taught. When we've grown up in an environment, and again, this is not shaming or blaming parents, this is bringing awareness. When you've grown up in an environment that your caregivers struggle to bond with you, and the signs they struggle to bond with you, and that doesn't mean love you. Love is different to bonding. Bonding is something we have to actively continue to do to lead the other person to feel connected to us. And to feel bonded to your child or people around you, you have to give them space and time to talk, and you talk to them. You have to validate feelings and emotions. You have to hold space for them when there is conflict that arises. You have to allow yourself to incite conflict sometimes, but manage it in a way that isn't emotionally dysregulated. You have to learn to have boundaries, but also allow those boundaries to be flexible to some degree. And a lot of people didn't have caregivers like that. A lot of people had caregivers that were stressed and angry, stressed and repressed, didn't cuddle much, didn't say I love you. Doesn't mean they don't love you, it means they don't know how to express it. But children need, for healthy bonding, to have a love expressed as well as felt. They need to feel the environment is safe to be able to speak. They need to feel the environment is safe to be angry. They need to feel the environment is one of connection instead of disconnection. And because of generational traumas, our parents weren't able to give us that. There is some parents that were, with good enough parenting, absolutely. But the people that I work with are very much like me, which is why I think they're drawn to me. So when in childhood you have not been able to bond with your parents, so you've not been able to tell your parent how you felt without them getting angry, because maybe there were secrets in your childhood, maybe your parent couldn't take criticism, maybe your parent didn't know how to manage conflict. So if you couldn't go to them and have conflict with them or tell them how you felt, how are you going to do that in adulthood? That's where the people pleaser grows from. If you couldn't say no to your parent without anger occurring, you've learnt to never say no in adulthood. If you weren't cuddled and said I love you, you will struggle with that in adulthood. And some people go the complete opposite and they say, I was never cuddled in childhood, so I want to cuddle my children all the time, or people all the time. But some people don't want cuddles. And then you will feel offended because that person doesn't want to cuddle. Because you felt offended when you didn't get a cuddle growing up. So it's about healing that to go, well, some people like cuddles, some people don't. I can't make everyone cuddle me, but cuddling is something that I'm trying to heal my wound from. That bond that you had with your parents is exactly why you struggle to bond in adulthood. And when you realise that, when that is the first and foremost thing that you realise, you can go, aha, wow, penny dropped. Why am I putting so much pressure on myself to have to know how to bond with people in adulthood when I have never been taught? And when that penny drops and you think, wow, it's like expecting yourself to sit a maths test that you've never revised for or ever been taught in lessons. How would you ever be able to confidently pass that maths test? It would always be, I'm going to guess this time, okay, I'll guess the next time. And that's exactly like friendships and relationships. Guessing. Well, if I over try, okay, if I say yes to everything and show up, that'll make me feel better in the friendship. Oh, don't. It doesn't. It makes me feel like I'm a people pleaser. Everyone keeps walking all over me. Okay, I'm going to start saying no a lot more and standing my ground. And I'm going to say exactly how I feel. Oh, no, people don't like that either. Oh, God, what do I do? You have to learn to bond healthily, and first that's bonding with yourself. Because growing up, you bonding with your parents meant you had to disconnect from yourself. And this is why you're trying to replicate this in adulthood. So you bonding with your parents meant you couldn't say your truths, so you had to swallow how you felt down. Okay, so that's why you do that in adulthood. You bonding with your parents meant you had to avoid conflict, okay? So that's of course why you don't have conflict. You've had to lose all these parts of yourselves that humans need. You bonding with your parents meant that your needs weren't always met. Sometimes you overmet your parents' needs, okay? So now we know where this is going, don't we? And again, some people get triggered by this because they'll say, they'll be the parent and they'll feel infuriated that this has been raised. Or they'll say, no, my parent always tried their best. That's not up for discussion. Of course they always tried their best. We're not here to shame parenting. We're here to talk about how ancestral behaviours are passed down and how people will never learn to bond if they don't understand how the last generation couldn't bond. Bonding is about balance. It's about learning a healthy sense of yes and no. So, in my previous video, I spoke about your type. So who you think your friends are, who you think your partner is, isn't. It's just an energy residue of who you're used to having in your life. And I will call that again in this video. Friends and partners you have in your life are likely very similar in different ways to your parents. So if your parents are very, very angry, you may have people that are angry around you. If your parents were dominating, you may have dominating people around you. And this is subjective. Some people don't agree with me, and that's absolutely okay. This is not my theory. This is a theory that has been brought in to psychology, but it's a theory during my healing that really resonated with me and really clicked with me. So first of all, when you're healing, it's go, wow, yes, of course I can't bond with people, or I struggle to bond with people because I've never been taught. So awakening to this part of yourself is about reteaching yourself how you want to bond. First of all, recognizing the energy of people around you, okay? You've got a lot of angry people around you, a lot of dominating people around you. How are you going to start navigating those? For any relationship and connection to be healthy and healthily bond, it has to be a certain level of honesty. You have to be able to say where you can, how you honestly feel. If you can never do that in a friendship or a relationship, there's not a level of truth to that relationship. There's a shallowness. And sometimes we have to accept with some friends that the relationship's going to be shallow to a degree, because the ability for them to be honest or to take honesty is low. So it doesn't mean you have to fall out with that person or leave them and never be friends with them again. But you do have to realise that this is something that you need in a friendship that they can't give you. So you have to accept that friendship for what it is, and you have to allow that friendship to lower down the ranks. You can't have a friendship that doesn't have truthfulness in as a best friend, because you will always feel invalidated, like you did as a child, unheard, unsupported. So that connection will never feel truly genuine, and there'll always be a problem because you're always trying to stuff down how you feel. There has to be some form of validation and support. For healthy bonding, you have to validate your friend and support your friend. Yes, what you're going through is really hard. And you have to be vulnerable enough to say to them, I'm struggling. I feel like I need a bit of support, even if it's just a conversation. There has to be time. We don't have all the time in the world. But we spend our time in the wrong places. We spend it a lot with acquaintances instead of genuine people who want to bond with us. How many times have we spent our weekends with people getting drunk and leaving the people out who actually genuinely does want to start bonding with us in a healthier way? Like having cups of tea or having chats or going out for the day. We've got to choose healthier bonding, healthier connections. So you've got to learn what you do and don't want in a friendship. Are you happy just socialising and not having deeper friendships? And that's okay. But if you want deeper friendships, then you've got to understand, okay, well, I'm not going to find or have a deeper friendship out on the piss every weekend, or taking drugs, or with people who only talk about their feelings when it's you in the face. Don't mean to be rude with this, but you're not going to find deep friendships there. And learning to challenge your thoughts. When you were growing up, if your connections were insecure or avoidant, or if your bonding with those around you was one that had a little bit of fear in it, and you were always trying to scan for, are they moody today? Should I tell them how I feel? Are they happy today? Or are they gonna kick off now? If you're having to scan their behaviour because you had to keep yourself safe because they struggled with addiction, they struggled with anger, they struggled with emotional dysregulation, they struggled with mental health. These are the people that had to learn to really become hyper vigilant to their caregivers, because you had to know how that person was feeling. So this in adulthood will see you become hyper vigilant. It will see you have to really analyse the behaviour of your friends. And this isn't good. Some people say that when you start to awaken, it's a dangerous game because you get to really see the behaviour of those around you, and you get to really see the poor behaviour, and in one breath you do. But in another breath you have to learn it's just wounding too. And you have to learn really that everyone is wounded to a degree. Just what level of wounding can you accept from your friends? If we just run around expecting perfect behaviour from others just because you're growing, well, you're going to be very lonely. Nobody has perfect behaviours until it's not about perfect behaviours, but nobody has awakened behaviours until they start awakening, and you can't expect everyone to be on your journey with you. So you have to learn to accept some things as wounding, but you have to go, at what level can I allow that in my life? So recognising how you're bonding and challenging your thoughts and notions. Like, if you've got a friend or you've got an acquaintance that never texts you unless they want something ever, you're going to have to question, well, okay, do I reach out to that person? Yes, I do. And they still only really come to me when they want something. Right. So there you go, you're enabling that person to only come to you when they want something. Maybe it's time to step back from the friendship, and if it's meant to grow into something else, it will. And if it doesn't, it will fall away. That friend messages me and we talk, and actually I'm giving more time to other friends drinking. Maybe I should not go out drinking as much, maybe spend time with that friend. You will know where you feel healthy. You will know where you feel connected, and you will know where you don't. And trying to keep putting ourselves in places where we don't feel connected is because there's something you're trying to heal and change that you won't be able to heal and change. You can't change anybody else in your life. You can't make them anything you want them to be. But if you start to heal your wounding in how you connect with people, that will greatly change who is drawn to you. And it will greatly change how you manage that friendship. And when I say manage, it's about balance. That friend is never not going to hurt you. The people always do things without meaning to. We have to learn communication. That's something I may not have spoken about a minute ago, but one of the biggest things is communication. Now, if you communicate with a friend time and time again and they gaslight you, or they tell you it's about you, or they don't want to take any ownership, that is a massive red indicator that person's not gonna at that point do that. So you have to step away. And if they then come back to you and they apologize, take accountability, or they want to move forward, you will know that's an indicator they're invested. Now, if they don't, if they've gaslit you, they've said all that, and they haven't really taken any accountability, and then you've pulled away and they don't come back, you will know that person's been removed for a reason. Healing these wounds is about recognizing how you're bonding with your parents was, or your caregivers, and then starting to learn to be more open, more vulnerable. And you will get hurt initially along that initial stages as you let lots of different people in, but it will teach you resilience. As people come in, you watch their behaviours, not their words, and you start to healthily challenge your behaviours. Okay, I'm going to show up, I'm going to give you a chance, I'm going to do this. You don't just pull straight back away. Okay, I'm going to communicate, I'm going to express this. Every time they will show you how they'll deal with it. Okay, right, you've shown me, I'm going to step back for a minute. If you come back, great, don't close the door straight away. Just keep showing up healthily with yourself. Okay, I feel angry right now. I'm going to tell you I'm angry, and I'm going to tell you that I'm backing away. Keep teaching people a new healthier way of how you're going to deal with it. And that means you have to start dealing with your emotions by feeling them, validating them, and learning to express them. The more you suppress how you feel to others and you don't tell them through conflict, the more you're going to suppress. You have to learn to be a bit more open, but in a healthier way. So many people shame themselves in adulthood because they don't know how to bond. I want you to have love and compassion for yourself. You only know what you have been taught growing up. You only know what you've been shown growing up. Now is the time for you to know that you can heal that and start working differently. And that doesn't mean your wounds don't exist. It doesn't mean that sometimes paranoia is not going to creep in and you're not going to feel certain things. It means you allow yourself to feel them, then you allow yourself to question it, and then you allow yourself to create an action. Okay, I feel my friend is doing this. Okay, maybe I should step back for a minute. But allow yourself to feel and validate the anger as you go. I do feel angry and I'm going to validate that. I'm also going to release that. One of the biggest things that I found is I send out to the universe all the time, who is meant to be in my life will be in my life, and who is not, universe, please take away. In every situation that occurs with friends and people in my life, I try to show up in the best authentic way I can, being honest, being vulnerable, but also having boundaries. And if it still does not get resolved, if I feel that we can't come together and I can't accept some things, or I'm over accepting some things and I step back and they leave, I know that was the right thing. And if in my heart I know I should walk away, no matter how much I want to try at it, I know also that the universe is telling me that this was what I was meant to do. I hope this video helps you in some way. Please do comment underneath how you may be able to take something from this video and how it may impact your life. Bonding is one of the key things that keeps us in separation, and healing is all about connection. Namaste.